Really?
We're on.
We're on.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will call this meeting of the Sunny County Commissioners to order. Contrary to popular belief, this is a Sunny County Commissioners meeting. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the best we can do for you, but here we are. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a short prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us this evening. Give us the wisdom to do what is in the best interest of those we represent. We ask in a special way that you watch over all those who are protecting our freedoms and their families. We ask all this through your Son. Amen. Amen. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve the digital audio video recording of the previous board session for Tuesday, April 17th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, I guess let's do a roll call for that as well.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yeah. We have the agenda in front of us. Are there any adjustments you folks need to make to the agenda? Either Commissioner Thomas or Commissioner Stacy?
None.
No? Okay, well, let's begin. Sheriff Cruiser under old business is the top item.
Yes, we got a request in last week. I think I forwarded you the emails. Sheriff is requesting an additional cruiser this year. He's been doing some security for the pipelines, and I can never say extra revenue because we never have extra revenue, but he's generating some revenue. And there was a couple of years, 2013, and I think 2008, 2009, because of budget cuts, he didn't get the new vehicles that we usually do. We usually do 2 a year. So he is requesting an additional funding for the cruisers. Any thoughts?
What's the total fleet?
Good question.
Where is the sheriff?
Indeed.
You can answer that question. Yes.
Hard to hear back
He
here.
said what? Okay, well, we will try to speak up as loud as we can. Thank you for that. Commissioner Thomas wanted to know what the total fleet was of the sheriff's office.
I'm gonna guess at 25.
Okay.
We do have 4 cars that we're probably gonna sell this year because they just outlived their usefulness and the cost of repair is too much.
So-
On gut deal, we sold off after we get the 2 new cars that were brought. In working the security at the pipeline, the company paid the deputies directly, and we got a cost per hour for the cars. And I couldn't tell if Stacy had said it, but right now I think we're around $38,000. By the time the project is complete, right in the area of $50,000. The cost of the car and put the equipment on it is right around $30 grand. That's why I requested we did this 1 year, which put us back a little bit. We've got some frontline cars on the road that have some high miles on them. We really like to get them.
So would it be fair to say if we had 24 cars and we replaced 2 every year, it'd be a 12-year cycle? Is that right?
We usually get about 10, 12 years out of the car because we assign them out. Guys typically take better care of them. They're not driven around the clock, which helps out considerably. We'll be buying a lot more cars.
And if I understood from the letter or that you had sent, Sheriff, there was something in the timing of it, of this time of year, when you can get the car equipped appropriately and that kind of thing. And
The manufacturer only makes police package cars so much from the beginning of the year, and that runs out at the end of this month. So if we have to get our order in by the end of the month, we have to get the car from the factory the way we like it. So they're the same as everything. It's the same as everything.
And that's a statewide purchasing contract?
Yes.
So we know we're getting the best price?
Okay, we need to take action on that obviously tonight if we can because the end of the month is very near.
Yep.
I'd make a motion that we purchase the cruiser.
Okay,
I will second that.
okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes. Okay. Oh, OSU extension update, I assume that is you, Commissioner Stacy?
Yes. As the Ohio State University Extension had indicated to us that April 21st, they would have the position that we have supported by a vote that we're working with them on, and that we'll have a agreement with them, a memorandum of understanding, once they have a candidate that has been offered the job and accepted, then we'll sign the memorandum, but on a 50% cost share with the state for having this extension position back in Seneca County, which I'm quite excited about. So they did post the position following all of their HR protocols for the university on the 21st, 22nd, 21st was the weekend. So the position is out there. Just wanted to share that. I don't know if we've got it posted on our site yet, but we will if we don't. And it is available under jobs@osu.com/postings. And from there, you could search it down and find it. I've got the posting number if afterwards anybody wants to see that. But quite excited to get back to the point. And it's been some 7 years since we've had an agricultural extension agent in Seneca County, and that we've been working on this for several years to determine what was best and so forth. But it is formally out there, posted by the university. So we wanted to share that it has happened.
Thank you. Any questions? Just a little housekeeping, I forgot. There is a sign-up sheet that many of you signed when you came in. It's floating around there someplace. Please, as many people as possible, let us know who you are, and so we can communicate with you, so we can keep track of the count for the meeting. And I also, while we're here, before I forget, wanted to introduce, we have two Adams Township trustees here. Bill Franker and Dave Carruthers. Are you in the back there somewhere, I think? Wave your hand, say hello. Welcome.
There's any Thompson ones here. I didn't see them.
If there are any Adams Township or any Thompson Township trustees here, want to make sure we recognize them if they are. Okay. All right, I think that's the housekeeping. Emergency notification system, Jim?
Okay. Back around 2015 or so, the Homeland Security Committee, Homeland Security meeting, we discussed having a mass notification system in Seneca County. We've never had one other than outdoor warning sirens. So over the past 2-3 years, we've vetted several different vendors and have come to the one that we presented to, I sent to you guys in an email. It's called the Wireless Emergency Notification System. It is by a company called Inspiron Logistics out of Akron, Ohio. The other two that we looked at, one was from San Francisco, California, and the other one's called Code Red. I believe they're out of Arizona. All great companies. We vetted this one down primarily due to where they are. They can come here and do training. It's a very robust system. It kind of brings our notification system into the new millennium, so we can do voice notifications, text notifications, email notifications. It integrates with social media and a lot of the National Weather Service type stuff. So if we need to do tornado warnings, things like that, it comes out by other means than just a siren going off. You'll actually get a text message, an alert on your phone. There's several different options available, but it's all one price, and they are the cheapest, and they're a homegrown company right here in Ohio. So that was the product that we brought forward from those committees, and I wanted to present those to you tonight formally. And we've all talked about it, I think, several times. And we have an agreement on the table now with the city of Tiffin and the city of Fostoria to split the cost on this so that it can be a true countywide project for all the townships, all the villages, and both cities. And we can all take advantage of it.
This is replacing what?
It replaces nothing. We don't currently have an emergency notification system. We do have some older, we have like a phone tree system.
Yeah, we're getting hand notifications regarding weather and those.
Right,
kind of
yes. Those come from the sheriff's office through a phone tree or through faxes that go to department heads, and then we notify the individuals that we're responsible for. This will be a lot easier, a lot quicker, and you'll be able to get these notifications wherever you are. And it's not slave to a landline or something like that. You can put it whatever number you want. You can opt in or opt out from several different kinds of notifications. And there's also ways that we can actually import like a reverse 911 database into this. That's oversimplified for the way that works, but you can do things like that with this system. as well as have opt-in alerts. So you don't have to get every alert. You just get the ones you want. But the ones that are truly emergency, which is the ones that we really worry about, we push those out, and you'll get them for like tornadoes or things like that, floods.
Is there some way
Evacuations.
to market this so people know
Yes.
how to go in, log in for those types of alerts they want, opt in, as you say?
Yes.
I mean, we're going to have to put some money behind marketing that so that people are signed up.
Marketing comes with the system. If the brochures that I sent you, they do unlimited amount of marketing for us, and they can do that customized by location or zip code or whatever user group that you define. And we can have administrators at several different levels. Initially, our goal is to make sure this is an emergency notification system, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then we can customize it from there, utilizing the system as it's built. There's a lot to it, and there's a lot of customization. But from the outset, what we need is an ability to reach the people that we need to notify in case of weather emergencies or other type of emergencies, anything from the things you hear about on the news to flooding to road closures to spills, train derailments. We had a train derailment a couple of months ago, and it was 24 hours before we knew about it. The cool thing was there was nothing released, there was no injuries, nothing like that, but there was a lot of roads closed. And that would have been a lot easier to take care of if we had the ability to reach out to the people it affected quickly and efficiently. And then also with this system, you get a notification back how many people you reached and a list of the numbers that actually answered or received the text, read the text. So a lot of things to it. And then there's a lot more detail that you can look into in the data that I sent you, but you can customize by location, geographic location. You can use it for things like the fair and have signs, websites that are single page websites that give you an opt-in code and just say, subscribe and send it to a 5-digit number, and you can see that. All the texts that come to you from that location.
I know this is broken down, but for the purpose of this meeting, we said it would be a cost share between Tiffin and Fostoria.
Yes.
What the net cost to the county then is?
The net cost to the county would be about $3,333 a year. It's about $10,000 a year total. So a third of that cost split amongst the three entities. And the more deep we get into it, there's ways that we can break it out further. But for the interest of moving forward quickly, we chose to go with those three entities.
Yeah.
Because we are the largest. Those two cities are the largest population center, but then the county has a lot of people spread out over a wide distance. So notification is important to us.
And if we approve this tonight, how long till we're operational do you expect? Just to set expectations.
If you prove it tonight, we can be operational within probably 30 days.
Oh, wow.
The contract will go live on May 1st if we prove it tonight, and then we'll begin training. And the training will be on site and also be available online. But they'll come to us and do training. And that what that does is it trains the administrators so that we can get the system up and running for the emergency use stuff. And then we learn from that to use it for the more administrative details. And the gentleman would be more than happy. His name is Scott Detling. He's from Akron. He'd be more than willing to come back and do another presentation.
Trust you.
Yeah,
Anything to add?
I guess I don't know that we would want to vet through some more of the information a little bit. I guess I'd like to ask some others what they think of it, that kind of thing, unless anybody's sold on voting on it tonight. That's just a thought. I think
We looked at
there's a lot of
Code
information.
Red and we looked at Everbridge. Everbridge is the I guess you'd call it the national standard platform. It's almost 3 times the cost. And it's not as user-friendly. Some people say that's good because you don't have as many people in there fumbling around with it. But this one is a lot more limited, and it's by the users that you define, the leadership defines.
Just so you know, I did do some follow-ups with some other counties. I did call Sandusky County because they were active with Everbridge, and I wanted to get some feedback how they were using it. And they did like Everbridge, but they are switching over to WENS. And I called Marion County. They also use WENS in there. It's very user-friendly, and they've had nothing but success for it. It's really helped out their communities. Just notifications, not necessarily all emergency, but, you know, even, I'll just use our, you know, ribbon cutting. We could even send out something as easy as administrative stuff, as long as the community opted into it. So that's a benefit outside of the true reason that we want to do the mass notifications, but that's.
Some of the larger entities that use it, the United States Marine Corps uses it, and the entire state of Iowa.
Okay, you would like to defer this till next week?
If we, I mean, since we meet weekly and that would only be a week, because I
Sure.
just to take a look in.
No problem.
I'm objecting to that, Commissioner Thomas.
No, I'm sold, but yeah,
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
thanks, Ken.
Justice Center, Commissioner Stacy, what do you have for us?
The only thing to mention, just that the, since we're here to mention, it's been publicly stated out there, the ribbon cutting for the Seneca County Justice Center is Thursday, May 17th at 3:00 in the afternoon. That we were not disrupting any of the court services. Everybody is moved in and operating out of the building. So that is the time frame. Anticipated being less than an hour, not probably by much, but excited to be to that point. And this is available electronically and sharing it on various ways that we can, so people are aware of that. So I just wanted to mention it.
Okay, we have a meeting scheduled for May the
Justice
8th.
Center, one more thing.
Yes.
Shane, you had asked about punch list.
Yes.
We've scheduled that for May 2nd.
Okay,
John and I, the Silling representative and the Bill Bain representative will be there, and I'd like one of you to be there if that's possible. So we can decide which one will be available, but
how about judges? Do we have,
they will meet us on the
ads on the floor? Okay.
What time
What
is
time is
it?
that?
Start at 9. One of you, any of you?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so we have a meeting scheduled for May the 8th, which is a Tuesday, at 10, as we always do. However, the Columbia High School superintendent of schools in the city of Tiffin, has requested that we attend signing day, they're calling it, for all the seniors who are going to the military, who signed on with the college, who have an internship planned, or any other type of post-secondary education. So, the question is, are we okay with changing the time of our meeting that day, or would you like to make it another day, or do you want us to stay firm in the time?
Bump it up to 8:30 or something.
Yeah. Any chance we can have a meeting at Columbian?
It's supposed to be from 10 to 10:45, I don't see, the only problem we have is that day is.
Work session.
The,
Work session? We can cancel
The
that.
Optimist Club's
Lunch,
Respect the Law lunch thing, I think, is
Yeah.
that day.
That's at noon,
noon, yeah.
so if we we try to do it 11 at Columbian. You know,
I don't know.
why don't I call him and find out whether or not we could stay and then have that meeting, at Columbian?
Yeah, they thought it would be done at 10:45 or 11.
You said 10 to 10:45.
That would give us time.
So,
but-
okay, we go 11 and hopefully it'll be an uneventful meeting.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets to the.
Yeah, if not, just move it to 11 at our office.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, because respect for, law luncheon is something we want to attend.
Yeah,
That's it, and that's it.
Sentinel at noon, yeah.
Okay, the Ohio Department of Transportation grant for the airport. You've got a resolution for that, or authorization for that?
Yes, this is the application that, Stantec and, Brad Newman, our, airport manager, had presented. We filled out this application last year. We did not get it, so we talked about refiling, so this is the application. They've got their application done and ready, so it's just a reapplication basically, so. If you guys are interested, I have a resolution authorizing the FY 2018 Ohio Airport Grant Program application, the taxiway pavement rehabilitation, airport, authorizing Mike Kirschner, president of the board, to sign the application and other related documentation on behalf of the Seneca County Commissioners.
And this is a 10% grant, right? Five. We're in for 5, okay. Yep. I'd motion that we, apply for the ODOT grant, again in 2018.
I will second.
Roll call, please, Nikki.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes. Okay, under new business, we have supplemental appropriations and fund advances authorization. You wanna start with those?
Sure, I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the public assistance fund, putting $1,840 into contract services. We have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the delinquent care and custody grant fund, putting $1,500 into equipment. I have a resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the impaired driving enforcement fund program. This is for $10,000, it's a reimbursable grant, so they've asked the general fund to advance, we will get it reimbursed. I have a resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the selective traffic enforcement program fund. And this is another grant that's reimbursable for $8,150. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the 2018 chip seal project. This will be scheduled on Thursday, May 17th, 2018 at 10:15 a.m. at the Commissioner's office. I have a resolution authorizing Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into a contract with the Pre-Stress Services Industries of Ohio. I have a resolution authorizing the sale of county-owned property at 1991 International Dump Truck, Unit 51, asset number 12786 on behalf of Seneca County Engineers Office. It was sold for $3,600.
That used to be part of your fleet, Sheriff?
I have a resolution authorizing the FY18 environmental submittals with the FAA for the obstruction removal and land acquisition. This is the one we brought up last week, and we needed some clarification, and they said that this was just for the environmental submittals. It wasn't committed to any of the purchasing of the property. It was just the environmental submittals.
Yeah, thank you for that.
No problem. And that is all the resolutions I have.
Okay, I will accept the motion to approve the resolutions and the funds transfer.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please, Nikki.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yeah. Anything else, you folks would like to discuss this evening? Okay, hearing none, the fun part of the meeting will begin. It's now, time for general public to, address the commissioners. We wanna be very respectful this evening with whatever we have to say. We're gonna ask you to hold your comments to 3 minutes because there are so many people who may wanna say something. We are someone's guest in this facility tonight. This meeting, and we do quarterly, a meeting in each of the townships. This meeting was scheduled about 90 days ago. So it's coincidental to the discussion that we're having now. So to be respectful to the folks that have this place, they don't have to stay here forever. You are welcome to make any comments, please keep them brief. Yes, sir.
Okay, has my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what you, this isn't a congressional hearing, so I don't know. I can't concede 3 minutes for your good
Any
friend,
other
but,
donations?
you know, out of scholarship. Whoever speaks, he speaks for 3 minutes, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions. Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
It'd be nice, we'd like to, we are recording the meeting, so.
First of all, can I have a show of hands of who is Jennifer Vine in this room? Raise your hand.
Okay, just do this correctly. Please state your name and your address, and then make your presentation.
Go ahead, bring those up.
That's okay, am I in your way?
No, you're fine. My name is Deb Hay. I am a resident of Thompson Township. I address the commission today regarding the safety of industrial wind turbines proposed for our great county and state. As wind turbines continue to grow not only in their numbers, but also in their massive size, there seems to be no limit to the vast amount of turbines to be placed in densely populated areas. Shane Thomas, when I called you in December concerning these, you compared them to a large barn.
Not quite a barn.
This is a barn, and this is a 591-foot turbine that has a rotor diameter of 446 feet. It spins in winds of excess of 70 miles per hour. That's a turbine, and that's a barn. This is the Statue of Liberty. Can you all see this from back there too? And the water tower of Flat Rock would be somewhere right around there. Just to give you some perspective.
They can't hear or see.
Oh, you know what? Well, let's turn it around to the audience. And see this one.
People back there in the corner can't see.
So the Flat Rock water tower would be right about there. The water tower in the Flat Rock area. This is the turbine proposed for our area. It is the quest of a billion-dollar energy company to not only harvest the wind, but to harvest our precious tax dollars, which will be expiring in degrees with each passing year. So the rush is on to move these projects forward in a haphazard way here in Ohio. In the quest to harvest our tax dollars, this billion-dollar industry has the lobbyists at our State House and Senate recruiting some of our trusted elected officials to reduce the setbacks of these massive machines to unsafe and outright dangerous levels. The Ohio Power Siting Board states that we will have a 591-foot turbine set back to electrical transmission lines, gas pipelines, hazardous liquid pipelines, and state and federal highways at 650 feet. Again, these massive turbines proposed for the Republic Wind Project will be 591 feet high with a rotor diameter of 446 feet. That's higher than the turbines in the Hog Creek Farm. Just the diameter of the rotors themselves. And they will move in wind speeds in excess of 70 miles per hour. Senate Bill 238 is an attempt to move the setbacks of these massive electrical generating facilities, otherwise known as turbines, to one of the two setbacks, either 1,225 feet from a habitable structure or 1.2 times the turbine length from the property line. That's about 720 feet from your property line for a 591-foot turbine. This is how a working mom makes a lecture between volleyball and piano lessons. So we need to switch to a different.
Getting very, very close to the 3-minute time limit here, so please.
But I had donations, didn't I?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we have. This is a sample of some dangerous setbacks in
Push
Ohio.
that over so Shane can see her too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means the danger zone surrounding these massive turbines would spill over into the school grounds, nature preserves, healthcare facilities, roadways, and homes. Some will argue that Ohio law does not have safety zoning for these industrial turbines. I will read what Ohio Representative Bill Seitz expressed in his April 19, 2018 memorandum regarding his concern over unsafe setbacks. Please know that I am simply resolved not to let Big Wind and their allies ruin rural Ohio with their unsafe and unsightly, expensive, and intermittent wind turbines, just to line the pockets of a few farmers willing to sell their neighbors down the river by advocating for wind turbine setbacks that are measured from one's home instead of from one's property line. Anyone who has ever lived in a home knows that we like to use our yard for gardening, picnicking, shooting hoops, swimming, fishing, and a host of other activities that involve poor private property rights. Big Wind, ever desperate to put more turbines in smaller places in densely populated Ohio, and biting its nails at the massive federal subsidies for wind production, are being reduced 20% per year. They are bound and determined to get their way. I will discuss the setback from the region in my next poster.
Yeah, please. You're out, 5 minutes. You said
Well,
we're giving people 3 minutes.
This is really
Okay.
important information.
You know what I'm gonna do? If we have, I'm gonna ask.
This is really important. This is the safety of our county.
Has anything to say?
There might be.
Deb can finish if it doesn't get too late. I'm happy to have her make a presentation. This isn't, there's no reason to be angry, people. You know, we are trying to let everyone express their opinion.
Are there other people who want to speak?
She spent a lot of time on these boards. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Let's just say that. All right. Does anyone else want to speak?
I would like to ask the commissioners this question. How close
Let me
nearest
just,
turbine to your home?
Yeah, how close are you to your house?
these turbines could move if the setbacks change in Ohio.
Is there anyone else who has a question or would like to make a
Let's
comment?
hold this up.
Okay, you finish it up then.
These are a comparison of the setbacks in Ohio. This orange bar is the current setback in Ohio, and these bars are the setbacks in the 4-state region. There's a reason these setbacks are so high. They're based on safety standards, they're based on property rights.
Amen.
And this is the previous setback in Ohio. That's what Mr. Reineke wants to return to. He wants to fix it, according to the news article in the Attica Hub. He wants to fix these setbacks to unlock billions for our county, while he sacrifices our safety.
Not his.
I would just like to say, I would like to see our commission come up with safety standards and support us, support the county. These are our homes, these are our schools, this is where we ride our bikes. I've got report after report here that I'm going to give to you that states the math. A 400-foot turbine will throw ice 1,700 feet. Just this year, there was a community college in Massachusetts that had a cathedral ceiling skylight crash through. In Dola, Ohio, this winter, we had a turbine break off. That's in the Hog Creek Wind Farm. There are 4 homes within a mile of that. There are 800 homes in the Republic Wind Project within a half a mile of these turbines. And they are 600 feet high rather than 400 feet high, as in the Hog Creek Wind Farm. This is a massive concern for the safety of the individuals in this community. I'm going to leave these references with you, but I ask you to seriously look at the manufacturing guidelines of the turbine they're calling and report back to us. Tell us what those manufacturing guidelines say, because we can't seem to get a hold of those manufacturing guidelines. They seem to be secret. I don't think they should be secret from us. I don't think those are trade secrets. I think that's community safety. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Trouble to follow.
Thank
Just
you.
do your homework on it.
Okay,
Mike,
I have a question for
in
the
the corner.
commissioners, please.
Mr. Anderson, yes, sir. Wait, please, just a moment. Please state your name and your address. Come up here, please.
Do I not ask for here?
Pardon me?
Yes. Oh, my name is Joe Anderson. I live outside the Republic.
Okay.
Is anybody on the board here, commissioners, will you be able to see them from your backyard or front yard?
No.
Oh, you'll be able to see them from your
I
house.
probably-
There's one that's over on 44.
Maybe not through Armand. I'll bet you'll be able to see it over the top of Armand. I would bet.
Yeah,
You know how
I
tall
guess the
our,
answer is I'm not
It's to the
certain.
south.
I don't think any of us will be able to. No, Joe, the answer is they're not in our backyard.
Okay,
No, sir, they are not.
so you're still gonna be able to see. You
That
can
may
see the
be.
1,036.
Well, I mean, if there are, I mean, yeah, we may be able to, but probably, they're not gonna be to the point where they're gonna be probably a eyesore to our view.
No, okay, no.
I understand your point, yeah.
Like, if you wanna sit out at night or whatever, I don't know if they lay in the astrology or anything, without the stars or anything. Everybody's gonna have a red flashing light on top. How many are there gonna be in Seneca County? Is 61 or more?
Well, there's 3 projects that are proposed, each
No,
of them.
the Republic one.
Oh, the Republic one is, somewhere between 55 and 60. Somewhere between 55 and 60, I believe,
Okay.
but,
When I talked to a person who represents Apex, and I asked if I could have a map, he said, oh, we don't give those out.
Here, I have a question. Is Apex here?
Right
Yes.
there.
Apex is here, so you can directly answer his question?
Possibly, we'll see.
Okay.
Well, when I asked for a map, so we don't give those out because, well, it's uncertain.
So we're willing to give out maps of where our turbines are sited in a public project now. We've submitted those turbine sites to the power setting board. What we don't like to do is give you indicative arrays. We run them, I mean, this array we have for Republic is array number 55. So we don't like to give you as 54. And often there'll be somebody who's hopeful that sees, okay, I'm getting a turbine or I'm not. And we'll react accordingly, but things will change, the next week or the next 2 weeks.
Another question, please. The decibels, was it 51, is it?
The decibel?
The decibels these will create from the turbines.
Noise.
Oh, the noise, okay.
Noise.
I'm sorry. So we're controlled pretty steadfastly from the power setting board in Ohio. We have to do a survey, which we did for the Republic project last year, to find what the background noise level is during the day and at night. So we record 7 to 10 sites throughout the project area, and find how loud it is at night and during the day. We recorded a noise level of 41 decibels at nighttime in rural Ohio in this specific area. The power setting board limits us to 5 decibels above that noise level for any of our turbines operating at any time. So the maximum noise level we can operate at will be about 46 decibels per tower. Yes.
So it's louder than the crickets we hear now.
I can't tell you that because I know how close you are to the cricket.
41 decibels?
Every 3 dB doubles the power. Every 3 dB doubles the noise.
How do you mean?
3 decibels.
The intensity of it.
A typical fire siren, 300 decibels. A change of 3 decibels will double the output. So if you have a range of up to 5, that's a significant increase. That's a significant increase.
I'd like to see that data. However, 46 decibels isn't very loud. At the end of the day, if you hear a 46 decibel sound from 350 feet, from 1,000 feet, from however far you are standing underneath the turbine, most likely you hear the corn shifting. You'll hear wind hitting the tower just like you do hear wind hitting a grain bed.
49 decibels.
What is that?
What do you hear at 49 decibels?
Is there something you have in mind?
I'm asking you a question. You say 46 decibels, you're hearing the corn rattling in the wind. What do you hear at 49 decibels?
Is that using the 3 decibel method?
That's exactly right.
I'm not sure where that's coming from, so I'm not sure.
Information out, share with
You're the one selling this to us.
That's right. Exactly. Share that information with us.
And where were the readings taken specifically for the?
The OPSB designates where we have to put the sound meters. And so there'll be one near a road, which is going to be the loudest, obviously. There'll be one in the woods. There'll be one in a low-lying ditch. There'll be one in general farm area. Depends on where you
Okay, Apex, I'm gonna go back to the commissioners. Where, we know of
One
Dolby
moment.
Hay, I live
Be
in Thompson
respectful
Township.
here. Please finish your thought.
I'll call that done.
Okay. Yeah,
Dolby Hay, I
yeah.
live in Thompson Township, right down the road here. Where's the third project? We only know of 2. Where's the third one?
You're on 3, there's only 2 and
But wasn't there, is there
Where's the
another
third
proposed
one?
project?
It's, their other project is here in town.
There's
Nobody
many.
else knew about that. Second off, go home
There's three-
tonight.
There's only
Well,
2 in Seneca
There's only 2 in
County.
Seneca County.
Go home tonight. Well, why were you mentioning 3?
I
Go
think he
home
just
tonight,
misspoke.
start to work on getting us out of the AEZ.
Amen.
Starting tonight, when you go home, start getting us out of the AEZ. We want out of it. We don't want these monkey pin wind companies coming in here and destroying our Roar County. Get them out.
Yes, sir.
Get us out of this.
There was a young lady back here who had her hand up earlier. No? Okay, yes, sir.
Jim Saligat, Thompson Township. It's my understanding that if the setbacks are arranged so that it's from the structures on your property, that means that you can then not build possibly on your own land if you fall within the setback that's been established by this.
I think that's good. We talk, that's what people talk about is trespass zoning. Okay, so can you address that?
Yeah, of course. So this restriction you're talking about is, I think it's sourced in the restriction we have against wind projects, where we have to stay a certain footage away from homes, and also a certain footage away from property lines. This is a one-way restriction. And so this is a restriction the Power Siting Board of Ohio places on wind farms. We have to stay 1,125 feet plus the blade length from home.
From a home.
From the structure, from the property line or
From a home.
From the home.
From the home, yes.
Okay.
It's not current Ohio law.
No,
So
that's
additionally, we have to stay back from the property line. And so that setback is imposed upon wind companies like us. That setback is not imposed on a farmer or anyone living out here. That restriction comes as far as siting of these facilities, but beyond that, the landowners who live out here can do so as they wish.
So after you put your turbine up and you're 1,125 feet from my structure, I've got another 1,000 feet of land there, or whatever it is, and I'm gonna build a structure on it, within that 1,125 feet. So what happens there?
You are free to do as you wish. You build as close as you would like to.
At his expense.
He has to pay for the structures that he's installing. However, the setback does not apply to you. It only applies to a wind development.
Purpose of the setback is the safety of that area. Correct?
Purpose of the setback is hard to say. Each state has its own. It can be what we call it, how far you are away from a turbine in some states. Sometimes it's just a footage. It depends on which state you talk about.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I'm Nelson Wright. I live in Thompson Township. I live in County Road 34. My wife and I built a home out here within a mile from here in 1976. I wanted to be in the country, country atmosphere. I wanted to raise our children in the country. Within a mile from here, after we built our home, there's a mega hog farm. Put right down the road, right down here from us. We put 3 buildings in this one farm. We turned around and put 2 more buildings behind our house so they could keep away from the EPA because it was a mega farm. But they put 3 buildings here and 2 buildings there. That's how they got away with it. We went to the tax department, wanted our taxes lowered because we felt it affected the value of our home. And the day we had the meeting with the county commissioner, they had a lawyer there, they had the tax auditor there. We had pictures of this hog barn, which you can see from our house. At the meeting, we didn't go in there, no lawyer, we just went in and explained it to them. And they said, well, it's not affecting your property. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I bet you a lot of you people wouldn't want to buy our house after we put a hog barn. Kind of within a quarter of a mile. And there's an open dump right down here at the corner of 82 and 34 in Thompson Township. They burnt tires, they burnt shingles, they throw trash in there. It's been going on for years. I talked to the EPA about it. No, they can't do that. We'll come out and look at it. We'll come out and look at it. They haven't ever done a damn thing about it. This is within a couple of 100 yards of my house. Now, the same people are going to put power behind my house, behind these hog barns. They don't want the tower over by their big house over here on 34. They want it back there away from them.
What are the loopholes that we know about with this
We explain to them that they put 2 buildings on the other end of the farm, sell that piece of property to themselves and call it a different name, it's not the same farm.
And that's a loophole.
A loophole.
So what do we have, what loopholes does Apex have?
I don't know. I'm just telling you my opinion. I don't like the damn things
close to me. I don't want the hog barn to stink. Come here anytime, knife this stuff in the ground, supposedly. The shit runs all over. Run down the ditch and across our property a few years ago, and nobody cared. That's how I feel.
My name is Ron Kelbley. I'm a foreigner here. I'm actually from Sandusky County in York Township, but please excuse me for reading your meeting. I actually have a couple questions, and I want the guy from Apex, if he would verify this. This is a map that shows the 4 proposed projects that they are working on. This is the Republic project right here. Over here to the south is the Emerson West project. That's on your website, list Emerson West. And then over here, there's actually 2 projects, Emerson North and Emerson South. I know there's towers, or you're taking readings or whatever. Is that being combined into one project that they're calling Emerson Creek?
These will be separate phases, so each project is a standalone.
Well, I guess that's my question. Are those 2 being combined together, do you know?
No, they're not.
No? Okay, because on your website, it basically is saying that Republic Wind is going to, actually from your application that's been filed, will have 58 towers, up to 58 towers.
That's right.
According to the number of megawatts you're gonna generate at the Emerson West project, that would be somewhere in the close range,
Right.
about the same number of megawatts.
That's right.
And actually, this project over here, instead of 200 megawatts, is listed. I found 2 different pieces of information. One of them says on the website, when you touch the dot, it says 500 megawatts. And then when you look at the brochure, it says 300 megawatts, which would be roughly 50% more turbines. So that would be somewhere in the range of about 90 turbines, but that is in Erie and Huron County.
That's right, and funny enough, that was an effort to simplify, and obviously it did not. So,
well, you get
so we've got
you got
2
2
projects.
pieces of information.
Right.
Okay.
So we've got 2 projects on the Huron-Erie side, which will be 2 separate projects.
Okay.
Although often it's easier to call it Emerson, which is the name of the southern one, rather than
Okay.
Firelands or Emerson Creek and something else.
Okay. And according to your website, you're looking at going to Emerson West, applying, if I remember correctly, bear with me, I printed this information out. Let's see, Emerson Wind Creek, it says October 2019, expired COD. What does that mean?
So COD is commercial operations date. That's when we hope to build by. That's a bit dated as well. The Emerson West project we hope to build by 2021. So that one's still pretty far down the road.
Okay, so basically, just to summarize, and I know you can't speak for S-Power because that's a separate project. So when people talk about 3 projects, they're all about equal size, about 200 megawatts. We have Republic, which already you filed an application for. You have plans to file Emerson West, which is basically located to the east of the S-Power project. So what you're looking at in Seneca County at this point, either planned or filed applications, is 180 turbines. We're not just talking 60, we're talking 3 projects of 180. Now, I have one more question and then I'll open the floor. This is the setback map. Basically what this shows you, this is from the application. And what it shows you is the setbacks for 700 feet and then from your property line and 1,449 feet from your structure. My question to you, sir, is if they get approval to put this project in, is there any reason, because you'll have the infrastructure in place and everything else in place, we have heard of other wind companies coming back in with round 2, and everywhere you see the white holes would be places where they can add new turbines. So there could be a phase 2 and a phase 3. Is that correct? I'm not saying it's in the plans, but I'm saying is that potential?
Not internal to the project. Given manufacturing specifications for the turbines we hope to use, if we were to stuff turbines in between where they are now, you'd have one machine taking wind from another, and so it wouldn't function very efficiently.
Well, the problem is, I find that, please don't, I'm an engineer, I like to ask a lot of questions. I struggle with that because this area in here, there's basically no wind turbine. So I'm just asking, is there the potential to actually, here, let me turn this around, I'll try to not hit anybody. you can see all the white zones, where this could turn into other projects that we've heard of, where they come in with phase one. Once you approve it, once they put the infrastructure in, there's nothing basically to stop them from coming in and installing phase two and phase three, and what we would call stuffing in as many turbines as they possibly can. So, okay, that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Robert Bosco, Pleasant Township. Have there been any environmental studies on the wildlife, because we have so many bald eagles? Why are the farmers being allowed to double dip on subsidies? Because they're gonna be getting paid for this, for the wind turbines, and they're getting tax breaks on land. Have there any effects on the health effects on people living in the area by wires or whatever, from noise that is not at a frequency that we can hear? And if this lowers our property values, which supposedly it does anywhere from uninhabitable to 5–10%, but a lot of them are 20–30%, does that reduce your taxes?
I'll let you try to answer the bird question, because I don't know anything about that.
Sure, yeah.
There was
So,
environmental done.
Can't hear you back here.
sure, so the question was, effects on birds, and I'm sure bats as well. So we've been out here since 2009, Apex has. And since then, we've done 3 iterations of both eagle and raptor surveys, and surveys for bats. That includes surveys on where the nesting sites are, where they're hunting, when they're flying, basically just tracking exactly where they're going and where their spawn are also going later on. And so with those surveys, we work with Ohio Department of Natural Resources and U.S. Fish and Wildlife to designate different seasons where we'll turn these turbines off, different times of day where we'll turn these turbines off, and different wind speeds where either bats or eagles are flying most often, where we can try to really not impact anything out here. Of course, there will be the off-bird or bat that will run into the machine, just like they do with cell towers or with rain bins. But we do what we can to mitigate and work with both Ohio Department of Natural Resources and U.S. Fish and Wildlife to
Is that part of the siting board's approval?
It's part of the Power Setting Board's process is submitting very extensive surveys for species that are out here that we might impact.
Are the penalties attached to not complying?
Yes. If we were not to comply, we either would not be allowed to build, or if we had built without complying, then we'd be required to tear down all of our facilities.
Do you have to pay a fine when you kill eagles?
Yes. If we were to kill a bald eagle, we would pay a pretty massive fine.
You said you did the survey, we did the survey, who's we on your part?
We contract with third parties so that there's no
Who's
bias.
the third party?
We've got lots of wildlife
Okay,
surveyors.
who's the third party who did it out here?
We've got a company called West. West, do you know anybody at West? We've got.
West of me? No, I don't. Not right now, at the moment.
We've got a company called Rattler or something like that as well.
And if I were to collectively take a survey, pay for it myself, and they come up with different figures, different solutions, then what?
Then that would apply. If you were to produce a survey of the quality required by the OPSB, then that would apply. So we use all information we've got in our application to the OPSB. And they also give us information that's been gathered otherwise. You have 9 years to.
Yeah, 10 years to do this survey, like you had?
Not if we plan to build in the next 2.
Dude, I'd probably like to go out and drink beer with you, but tell your investors to go away. We don't want them out.
Okay, I will take your question, but this gentleman had a number of questions that didn't get answered, so.
Health effects on humans and lower property values.
We're coming back to that. Let this young lady would like to speak. Yes.
Hello, I'm Jessica Cornett. Nice to meet you. I sent you a letter.
Thank you.
I spoke with you on the phone, and I met you in your office. Okay, so, as you guys are aware, I received a letter in the mail like we all did, and then I got a phone call from John Moran himself. He called to inform me of where the locations were going to be around my home with 5 children. He pulled up my address on Google Earth, he pulled up our home, and he said, Jeff, I see your home, Gray House Pond right out front. I said, yeah. He's like, we're going to plant in a ½ mile north, a ½ mile east, and a ½ mile west. I said, you're telling me you're putting 3 of these around a home with 5 children. His exact words, God is my witness, was, yes, ma'am, I wouldn't want my home there either. Now, so, mind you, I was worried prior to then, but being a nurse and having a child with a disability, multiple disabilities, and she fought cancer, was given a year to live, she is now 15, I did a lot of research. I brought forth that research to Commissioner Kirschner, which was unaware of it. My question is, why haven't you guys done any research on the serious health effects of these things? I need to know. Because, I need to know. Just give me one more minute. Because I pulled up our federal laws, and if you guys look, the number one responsibility our government, our commissioners have, is for the health and safety of their citizens. Not financial income, nothing like that. Health and safety, okay? Your children are being impacted by this. There is a road that children ride their bikes, throw rocks, look at birds. Not even 560 feet from where they're trying to put a wind turbine. How are my kids going to be safe? I went up to John Moran at the S-Power meeting, and all he did was smile at me when I confronted what this man told me, that he wouldn't want his home there either. He smiled at me. Then I told them about my child with disabilities, who she does not have normally developed eyes. She could go blind, okay? So I asked about the shadow flicker. How is she going to be protected? It would cause her to go insane. She could not handle that. Nope, they didn't know. No studies, they don't know how she would be protected. So then I asked about the infrasound. Everybody's worried about the loud sounds. You guys, we need to be educated. Infrasound is what's causing deafness, tinnitus, the inability to sleep, the nausea, the vomiting, the thoughts of depression, suicide, because it affects your brain waves. This is serious. Children are being impacted, and there's no dollar amount on this world that it is worth affecting our families and our home. I'm not talking about property values. I'm talking about children. And this is wrong.
Any response to that, Apex? Would you guys like me to respond to that?
I don't want a response from them. I want my commissioners to respond to the people who elected them to keep us safe and do justice for us.
Do your job.
Let me finish up the answers to your questions, okay? So, one more time, we talked about the birds and the bats. The second question
was the farmers double dipping on subsidies.
Okay. I understand that the farmers have subsidies, I understand there's some subsidies with the wind power. I can't answer that other than to just say that.
And I do not know the impact on the farmers receiving their lease payment, how that may or may not impact their CAUV, because we're just starting to get to the point, if this project's going to move forward, to get that calculated. I'm guessing a landowner who might have an agreement probably has inquired and asked that question. I have not seen these lease agreements. I'm not been offered one, have no property in the zone, so I don't know the answer if that impacts their CAUV or not. I mentioned that today. That's going to be a question that I'm sure that the landowners are going to want to know. That's significant to them. Anything we've read on a decrease in property values has been unfounded, that there's been no decrease in the value of the property.
Common sense is you buy a house next to please. Look, you have to understand that we have had before us the turbine question for 4 or 5 years. And you also have to understand that we have got as much correspondence from those folks who are pro-turbine as anti. Now, it's difficult to hear, I understand.
They had a little heads up.
We get literature from a number of folks who talk about what happens to the value of property. And there are studies out there, many of them say there is a decrease. Some of them say it's stable. Some of them say it's actually an increase. I'm just telling you the information that we're receiving. The question was asked, why didn't you do your homework? The fact is, I know more about wind turbines right now than I ever thought I would. And I don't know 10%, 5% about it. But I can tell you that every day I read something new about products. I talk to as many people as possible. and we try to be as empathetic as we can. But you have to understand that we have been dealing with this for a number of years with no resistance whatsoever. Now, I know that you guys just found out about a number of things. I get that, I understand that. But you also have to understand this went down the road a long way. So, let me finish up.
The last one was actually on, property value reduction.
Yeah.
And are we going to give, if our property value falls in half, are our taxes gonna fall in half?
Mr. Wright, I think made the point, you know, there is a board that you go to and make that request. Obviously, you weren't successful.
I can tell you that.
Yeah. Nelson, I don't know what the values we're talking about were. I may have been sitting on that board when you made the presentation, I don't know.
I don't know, I don't believe so, but, I wish I'd have went in there with somebody who could communicate it better, a lawyer. They were expecting that, they had their law.
Yeah.
People, and taxes never went down. Hog barn is closed, several of them, the wind turbines going between the hog barn and my house. And we have the open dump within 200 yards of our property. And,
Yes, yeah. You know, and I gotta say a couple more things. Because Commissioner Thomas won't say himself on this one because he doesn't need to, because it's so silly. He knows the difference between the height of a barn and a silo and a turbine. Now, come on.
So why did he say what he said?
Come on, listen. He was making a comparison, totally out of context. And I'm, you know, whether you're pro or con, just be fair. Just be fair. Now, you know,
Years ago about this.
Get us out of here easy.
Look, no, okay.
Easy.
Would you just
I
answer
didn't hear
the
the
question
question.
though that I had asked, please?
Yes.
If you guys understand that your number one thing is for health and safety of your citizens.
We do understand.
How can you even implement something like this that is going to put children and families in danger zones? How can you do that? I want to hear that answer, please. Knowing that children are playing, I mean, please enlighten me, because this is your job, health and safety.
I don't think that we have enough information to be able to answer your question. You know, the data that you gave us, I read all the data that you gave me, and there is information out there to the contrary. I gotta tell you. You know, and look, I'm not pro or con this. I'm trying to talk as objectively as possible. I know that you're upset.
I'm extremely, we have 5 children, you guys are trying to destroy our lives.
Well, we are not trying to.
Yes, you are, for money.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I'm Terry Hampshire from Blue Township.
Yes.
I would like to address the no-fly zone for life.
Oh, yeah.
Someone address those, I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Speak up, please.
it's my, I wanna address the issue of.
No fly zones.
The no-flight zones.
Okay.
Life flight.
Yes.
Can somebody shed some light on that for us? Nate, did you do any research on that?
Yeah, my name's Nate Glazer, and from Bloomville, I'm also the fire chief. And I sent official request for policy of life flight around these turbines. And what I got back was, I did get an unofficial map back from a pilot at this point. We have corresponded with the gas agencies. They're going to give us an official policy, but the thing that is different from what the pilot was explaining to us is the height of the turbine. The height of the turbines they're dealing with in other areas is shorter than these turbines. There's a lot less turbulence, and the effect is different. Now, I will tell you that I have seen cases in Bonnie Lake, Wisconsin, where large areas are uncovered by air ambulance because of the number and size of turbines. I had expected to have something by tonight so that I could share that, but I did not get word back, and I'm guessing the silence is the fact that they have to do some research, because just like you guys, there's some differences in what someone else is telling them compared to the data that they've gotten from the smaller turbines. So basically what they say with the smaller turbines is they treat it just like any other tower. However, the tower presence is much bigger, much wider, and it's thicker because of the turbines. So it's treated like a tower. They do have a, so the difference is going to be the height of that and obviously the diameter of that turbine, and also how much turbulence. As soon as I have that information, I'll be putting it on my Facebook page and I'll share that with you.
I have a large amount of those turbines around my home, and, if I have an accident at my home and I'm bleeding, I love them volunteer, fire department, I'm gonna have to wait for someone to come, take me to a safe place where life flight can land. That's my concern. And for everybody and everyone's children, same thing, farming accidents, car accidents.
Can you address that on our side, please?
Sure. So wind farms in the state of Ohio, we're obligated to work with current airspace and also helicopter type deals in the area. We're currently under FAA review now. They basically determine whether or not the turbines we cite are amenable to certain flight patterns that are out here. We haven't had trouble in the past with all the projects that we built with air flight. I believe we've been working with you over the past week.
We also have military planes that fly very low over those electric lines.
And we're working with them now. We're working with military folks now as well. Yes.
They're gonna change.
And so they don't change to meet us. We have to change where our facilities are to meet their requirements.
Yes, ma'am. Back in the back, please. Yeah, and please come forward. We can't hear you up here.
While I have the floor, Miss Stacy, I know you made a comment that we wouldn't wanna hurt the businesses and pull the rugs out from under them. They've got so much money invested. I've lived in my home for 30 years, and I've got a lot of money invested in my home. I have a business there. I plan to retire there, and if anything adverse happens, adverse effects from these things to myself or my husband, it's gonna be very difficult for us to get up and move. I would love to retire there as well, but I'm just extremely worried about this whole project. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Apex Man, what are these are not only dangerous, is what we're hearing more and more about, they're also ruining our town by the ugliness inside of them. And if anything that mammoth, that big, and it's a machine, it's gonna fail, it's gonna break, what kind of repairs are we going to be having to look at? Blades coming off, things breaking down, pieces flying off, who's gonna repair it, who's gonna care about it? We have to look at them, watch them break, and as well as cause all this damage to us, both with the sight of our countryside, and then with all the other dangers going on.
Is the main question,
What about repairs?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What happens to these things once they're up there? It's a machine.
Once the project's built, we have 10 on-site operations folks that are working around the clock.
Who's near?
Both the operations folks. They'll have a building on site. We haven't locked down that purchase yet. We have to purchase a set of land from someone, then also build a.
Does that come before the turbines come, or the turbines come before that?
Same time. So we construct that in tandem with the turbines. And those folks are, yes, there will be about 10 folks. What was that?
24/7?
Yes, there must be staff 24/7. They're monitoring minute to minute, not only the facilities, but the chemicals in the facilities, and sort of how efficient everything's running. We'll know if something's 1% less efficient than it should be, and often that'll be turned off, and we'll go in and see what's going on. And so we have not only an on-site operations management, we have a double redundancy here, so we have folks that are back in Charlottesville, also remote operating the site. So if anything
Contrary
goes
to
on,
what you're telling me, I've known people in Van Wert who just claim the opposite. That they stay unrepaired, they stay broken, and it's weeks before anybody can get to them.
I believe the company that built the project out there is Iberdrola. That's a Spanish company. I can't speak on behalf of their practices, but I can speak on behalf of the rules that are imposed upon us by the OPSB, which are, if something's wrong with these turbines, we don't fix it for 10 years, we have to decommission the entire project.
Well, you said there's round 3, round 1, round 2, round 3, and all different companies.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, here. We want to hear everybody.
Lisa Wilson, Bellevue.
Sure.
You're gonna have 10 people per 58. How is that gonna work?
Per project, yes.
Per
So for
project.
each project we build, and
And
as
they're gonna
the
be
gentleman
available
said, to reach about 200
24/7.
megawatts. They have to be there 24/7.
Do you have a model number for these turbines you're putting up?
Model
And
number. We're selecting between 3 for our Republic
is there
project.
any way to get that information? And is there a manual, a safety manual we can get a look at?
The manufacturers hold on to those pretty tight.
Oh, really?
But
Why?
however, we can let you know which ones we're considering.
Why?
I can't speak on
Because
behalf
they're
of the
not
manufacturer.
safe? Why?
They hold on to it because it's a complete description of how they build and how they work. And so what they don't want is competitors to sue.
All right, I need a copy of the model numbers anyway. I want to be able to look that up. Go to your office, I guess, I can get that there?
I can talk to you.
All right, thanks.
What are the life expectancies of these machines?
Often it's between 20 and 40 years. With today's technology, there's no reason to believe we can't get past that.
Dalton, I don't, I've got something in my office that is a matrix of the manufacturers. I think it's Nordex one.
Yes.
And, not Tesla, but Tesla. Vestas, yeah. I don't know I don't know if they're accurate or who they came from, but I know that I have a setback. According to this.
Yes.
This is the manufacturer's setbacks, and I believe, most of them were somewhere in the range of 1640. Some might have been 1780, but I believe that's what the matrix shows. Yes, sir?
Jeff Gates, Adams Township, what are the setbacks? They said 1640.
1640 is what I remember the manufacturer
What
recommended.
are our setbacks in our project, Dalton, from the property line?
Setbacks in your project are 1,125 feet plus the blade.
No, the ones that they wanted to change it to. Put it on, 70238.
It would move to 1,225 feet plus blade per home.
Wait a minute, plus the blade, please finish.
1,225 feet plus the blade from home.
From
And
the
it would
property
be,
line.
right.
Right,
Right, so
I'm
I wouldn't say that
asking
would
one from the property.
Right, so I was getting, so it'd be 1.2 times the tip height of the turbine from property.
What's that?
That would be whatever the height of the
Yeah, but I mean, what
upright
does it
blade.
calculate out to?
So we've got 3 models, but it would be something in the range of 550 feet.
And what did you say that?
1640 from what I remember.
Around 1640.
You know, and I don't know where I gotta say, I don't know where the source of the information is. It's just that I had a matrix that I read.
I have another question. What are the setbacks in Indiana and Michigan to the property line? Not to Dalton, but I'm sure you guys have done some research.
Oh, yeah, we see
What are
every
the
state there is,
setbacks
I
in
think.
Michigan and Indiana?
Again, it's one of those things with this situation that it depends on where you get the research from. It depends on when the farms were built.
I'm just asking to compare where we at.
They're just so, I'd have to have something in front of me to be able to tell you, but can't do it from memory. Well, I've got a file. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Diane Kudak, and my husband and I live in Eden Township, where there's 3, on the map at least, there's 3 across from our road. We have a bed and breakfast, so I don't know how many people want to stay at a bed and breakfast that is looking at it. But my question at the meeting for the S-Power people at Harmy's was, where is this electricity going? What are we sacrificing for? They have a contract to sell the electricity to New York City. So my question is, where is, New York City in that area. So I'm just curious on where Apex is selling Republic. Maybe it's a good thing, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't heard that question.
You know, I know that's a question that's going to the grid and I'm not sure you can
Sure.
trace it back.
So yeah, one good distinction is that S-Power is a different company, and we can't speak on behalf of them as to where the power's going. For us, a project this size, 200 megawatts, would be impossible to feed into a town or into a county because it's too much power. And so what it does is it feeds into the greater PJM grid, and that's going to be split between Ohio, likely Pennsylvania, and touch as well. And so that power is split evenly so that there's no effect on reliability.
Where did the power, for example, Davis Bessie go to?
I believe it's the same. I believe it's the same
So it's the
situation.
same
It's
grid?
something like a 900 megawatt facility, and so that power is distributed.
Can I explain something to everybody just to clarify a point? PJM is a transmission company based in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. And a lot of the transmission lines are being installed based on feeding PJM. The company I work for that I will not mention, we have a contract that when Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland can't produce enough electricity, we actually shut our plant down and we get paid to do that. And the reason for that is unfortunately Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland do not want to add any additional energy generation capabilities in their area. So they're actually pulling energy from the Midwestern corridor, which we're actually plugging into that. So there will probably be times where that's where the majority of the power is going to go. I mean, that's just the fact. I mean, I work in the southern part of Erie County, and a number of the bigger companies have contracts like that. We actually watch PJM site, and when demand gets to a certain point, we know we're going to get a phone call, and we have 2 hours to shut down and shed our load so they can take that electricity and transfer it to those states. So
You get paid a subsidy.
yeah, they actually get paid we get paid to be on standby, and then when we do shut down, we actually get paid per hour that we're down.
Yep, subsidy.
Yeah. But that's from PJM. Yes, sir.
My name is Gary Miller, Thompson Township. I got a question for Apex. Why are you leasing the land instead of buying the land?
We don't imagine that the farmers that have been out here for generations would be interested in selling land and heading somewhere else. So those farmers who we've talked to and worked with for several years out here seem to want to stay. They seem to want to add sort of extra stock to their field.
So the facility that you're going to house your maintenance crew in, are you purchasing that property or are you leasing it?
Purchasing.
So you'll purchase that piece of property?
Right, so we won't purchase the county, but we will purchase a 4-acre piece or so.
You sure it ain't because you couldn't afford everybody's price for their house?
Well, we're by no means a huge company, and so we do our best to work with the community and match their desires.
What's the ROI of this project? What's the return on investment?
The ROI depends on which turbine we use and how cheap we can sell the power for.
How do you know
So we'll have that figure once we make a deal
Give
with
me
them.
your best guess. You've already talked about it. Just give me your best guess. What do you got?
$35 a megawatt hour.
I don't know what that is.
So that's the ROI. So we'll sell power.
How soon will you pay for a turbine?
How soon will we pay for a turbine? It'll be some years.
Sorry?
It'll be some years. So building a project like
3
this
years, 5 years, 8 years?
depends on what kind of price we can
So in 3 years, a return on investment, if you're a good businessman, you're getting a return on your investment in 3 to 5 years at the most.
So for a project
At
this
that point, you
size,
guys
10
are
years
just
is
making
pretty
lots of
standard.
money after that.
Yeah, listen, he's not the CFO of the company. He's here representing us, and I'm not sure that he's privy to all the financial data that Apex has. Yes, sir, way in the back, this gentleman in the plaid shirt, yes.
Yes, Tim Thompson here from Seneca County Road 32. My question is to the commissioners. Are you all opposed or for this project? My question.
Good question.
You've already submitted letters of.
We have. There's been a letter from this commission to the state, in support of the project.
Now, are you elected officials?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody remember that. Now, the second question is, with growing opposition and the amount of people and the things that are happening to this, you give me a straight answer. How do we stop this?
That's right,
You
amen.
give me an answer because you're my constituent. Whether you like it or not, we got
Well,
growing opposition. How do we start to stop
Well,
it?
you know, I've done the pathway, I believe, although I haven't been able to see a clear pathway, is somehow have a referendum to take the vote to the people. That's what I believe. Now, it's just me, one person on the commission. I have not been able to ascertain the exact, I've talked to the Board of Elections, I've talked to the State Board of Elections, trying to see what the proper methodology would be to get it, to reduce it to a vote. I have not seen a clear pathway. I hope that somebody's attorney is smarter than that.
Would you need a circulated petition to you?
See, that's
Are you
what
in the front line? Have you
I
done
just, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that, because I don't know what to tell. Yes, ma'am. What's your timeline? I can't tell you. I just don't know. It's, you know,
Find out, tell us how to
Well-
stop this. That's part of your job.
yeah, well.
Commissioner Stacy, what about you? You haven't answered. You sat there quiet all night.
I was waiting for a moment to speak on his question. the legislation that is currently at the state level, if it doesn't change, I'm not gonna put him on that spot, but that's probably going to stop this. That's what these companies have said, and without some changes, it doesn't work for their ROI, to continue with the setbacks the way they are. So with the changes there's been no new permits granted in Ohio since they changed the setbacks 4 years ago.
But ma'am, we're not talking about setbacks, we're talking about stopping the project.
Okay, but it is part of the answer, because that is all state legislation, that's not our legislation. What we do have in place here that was put in by our predecessors in 2011 was the Alternative Energy Zone, the AEZ as referred to, which then allows us to operate with the payment in lieu of taxes. That was put in place by a previous board that basically said we are open to development. So the procedure, whether the AEZ is pulled, is something that would have to be entertained by this board.
So if we.
Wait, you asked a question, let all three commissioners answer the question. All right?
Yeah. The other thing I would emphasize is that we're in a process where the Ohio Siting Board is actively taking comments, and all of your comments are valuable, and I'm sure they would be, anxious to get those. Just make sure that if you're in the Seneca Wind project, that you pick the right project. Those are very clearly delineated at the Ohio Siting Board. So, that's the process we're in. The other thing that I would say is our previous board did pass the Alternative Energy Zone. That allows us to negotiate road use agreements, a lot of other things, taxes. But there's nothing that prevents, the turbine company from coming. If setbacks don't change, there's nothing to prevent them from utilizing existing setbacks. There's provisions in there for them to go. So, it may be a situation where, even if there wasn't an AEZ, there's a potential for it to come. Even if setbacks don't change, there's, the potential to come. And the reason is there's a demand for renewable energy. There's demand from technology companies. So the demand is there. And, many of you are business folks and business savvy, and you understand that a business will rise to meet demand. And so,
on a previous meeting, somebody had mentioned we had one in VFW that this could be put on the ballot for vote.
That wasn't us. The meeting, it was brought forth by the gentleman from Van Wert, who said, here are your pathways. What was his name? Somebody help me. Chris?
Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Just a little, let me clear, again, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mr. Goldwing?
Let me clarify for you what they're talking about. They're trying to put an amendment on the bill. Rob McCauley is trying to get it on where there would be 4 paths that could occur if they pass the bill and include the amendment. One would be all 3 commissioners could support it. Then we could go out and get a petition, and if we can get 8% of the people who live inside the box, that's what I call it, within inside the project, then we could get it on the ballot. The second way to decline it would be is if the 3 commissioners voted against it. I can't remember the other 2. But there was,
well, the other
90 days.
But let's be very clear, though, that this is a proposed amendment
it's
that's not even been accepted as an amendment.
Right.
So it's,
not. But that's
so
what
it's,
Jeremy, I just want to clarify, that's what Jeremy was referring to.
well, the problem is that it gets
progressed.
confusing to folks if they think that this is current law or even proposed law. It's not even a proposed amendment at this point. It's an idea. So, whether or not that idea has merit is a different conversation. But I just want to be very clear that it's proposed language. It's an idea.
I was at the Bellevue meeting, and I can tell you that the sense that we got there was that this was the path. You had 4 ways to go. Commissioner buy-in, commissioner vote it down, commissioners do nothing, or a people's referendum. Those were the 4 choices. Now, and there was no clear-cut path that said this is a proposal. he said, this is the way to do it. So that's where the confusion sets in, and that's when I started researching, what would it take to have this put on the ballot? Well, as I find out, contrary to what I was told by folks at that meeting, there really isn't a path for the ballot because it's a state issue and therefore would need to be a statewide referendum. We were looking for it to go, to use Mr. Kelby's words, people in the box and all the dots, as you would say, get an opportunity to speak. I don't know what that path would be. Yes, sir.
I have two short things. One is that you mentioned about the comments of the commissioners. Your comments are our comments. That's the way that should be. The other thing is that I want everybody to know that after the meeting, that Deb Hay and Crystal are going to be taking signatures for a petition to rescind the AEZ program from Seneca.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Reichholz in the back, please.
How many signatures do we need on that petition?
8%, what, now wait a minute, see, there you go, there is no petition that's gonna get you any,
We have a petition.
if there was, okay,
On our own.
all right, if there was a ability, if, capital I, capital F, if there was that ability, it would take 8% of the registered voters.
He's talking about just to get us to pull the
The
AEZ.
referendum.
Oh, to get us to pull the AEZ?
That's documentation to us.
Yeah,
What
that's,
it is. There's no set thing that takes,
Can I talk?
yes,
Okay. We have a petition started. We've got a fair amount of signatures. My question is, how many do we need on that petition to have you guys remove the AEZ?
there is no minimum or maximum, that would be something
What
that
do
you,
you want? Tell us what you want. 1,000?
You're our
100?
leader.
I would just say we want time for both sides, other people who could not attend tonight to know that that was happening, but there is no, that is to be a matter of when we chose to address that at one of our public meetings, which are, all our meetings are public. All our
Joseph, I'll be right to you, yes,
I don't
sir.
have much time.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd like to speak for just a couple seconds. I have a comment.
Sure.
And a question. My name is Nate Blazer, again from Boonville. I want to address Shane's comment about this being a business proposal. I'm a businessman. Sorry, I'm a businessman, and I understand his take on this being a business and looking for return on investment. Well, I build equipment for manufacturing, and I don't look for government subsidies to purchase equipment or to pay for my costs for those. The wind energy does get a subsidy, and it's my understanding from the research that I've done, without those subsidies, it wouldn't be a commercially viable product, okay? Mostly because of natural gas and coal is way cheaper, and it's already in existence, and the infrastructure's there, it's working. So from a business standpoint, I don't buy wind power at all. That's one comment I had to make. The other comment is, based on my feelings about the way you guys are talking on this project, it looks to me like we are trying to get a commercial activity in our county to increase our revenues. Now that makes life easier for any elected officials, myself included as a fire department head. It loosens our budgets up. It makes it easier. But to the lady's point back there with her children, at what cost do we want to raise our budget number? That's more important. It's way more important. So if it's not commercially viable, it's not going to be sustainable. They call it sustainable, and it's not sustainable. That means that if there's no subsidies to repair them, and they go completely out, where's that money going to come from? I've seen it in many places where there are turbines sitting idle. One of them particularly is in Conant, Ohio, where there's one sitting that's been sitting within a month after it was installed. It's been there 5 years. And that threw a blade about 1,000 feet. And that was a much smaller turbine than what we're talking about. It's about a 200-foot turbine. So the other question that I have also is, I would like to know, just from the three of you, are you open to rescinding the AEZ if you have a number of constituents in your county that are asking you to do so? Are you willing to do that?
Good question.
So first of all, I want to thank Nate. He's a great community citizen, not only on behalf of everybody he's speaking for tonight, but I appreciate your service as chief. You've been volunteer at the park. I appreciate that, and we're all here as a community solving community problems, and so I appreciate that. As far as subsidies go, that's something that's really above our pay grade, right? That's a federal issue. But something I'd like you to think about is many of the forms of energy, many forms of business are subsidized. You do equipment. Section 179, what does that do? It allows you to depreciate that equipment in 1 year.
That takes it off of my income. It doesn't give me income.
That's
not a subsidy.
That's a subsidy.
No, it is not.
It's a subsidy.
Reduction of taxes that I pay.
We can have that argument. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that are there's a lot of things that are subsidized.
Definition of subsidy.
So,
Not a subsidy.
point being, there's a lot. Anytime I wait for a train and coal's going down the track, that's a subsidy. I'm getting it. But there's different ways to subsidize energy, I think, in a lot of business activity, and there's not a full accounting. But the point is, that's above our pay grade, right? Because that's a federal issue, how they choose to use the tax code. So we're not going to solve that here. We can't even agree on a definition.
That was a statement, not a question.
Yeah. So to me, at this point, and I appreciate the reason I mentioned that I appreciate Nate's service as chief, because of course I do, but he did bring to the front a new issue today that I hadn't heard, and that is, what happens with the flight patterns. We've talked to our airport, we know what it does there, but that's one that I want to answer.
Clarification on that about the flight pattern words that we're using. There is no flight pattern to our area.
Right. Just flight issues. So that's a new thing, and but I will say up until that moment that I hadn't heard anything new that would have in any way encouraged me to rescind the AEZ.
I'd have to say that is as well something new to make sure we look at and ask a lot of questions about. Someone asked about, does it take a certain number of signatures? No, but it's important, as we do on all issues, is to listen to our constituents. And so we will hear from lots of constituents after this hits the media tonight, and everything else. There'll be more that may agree 100% with the majority here tonight. It may be the other way. We're going to need to weigh all of that.
Mine's very simple. It's my
Yes or
sense
no?
I need to weigh that. I'm not going to tell you I would not rescind it. I'm not going to tell you I want to
I'm
rescind
not
it.
asking you to decide. I'm asking you.
I'm going to say we need to weigh that information, and any decision I make, I take very serious and do my research, ask for input, and you come to a point you've got to make decisions and not kick the can down the road. So we need to have that time because there's been some new things to consider here. So we will do that.
If it were the sense that the majority of the folks in Sunday County wanted the AEZ rescinded.
They're not hearing you, Mike. Say it like
If it was, I don't know what I said. If it was the sense of the majority of the people in Seneca County that they wished for the AEZ to be rescinded, I would vote to rescind it.
Okay.
Yes, Chris.
Real quick.
What about Commissioner Stacy, Commissioner Thomas, what is their point on this?
They did, they answered the question.
They never answered the question.
Yeah, I said that
more information to gather. I would want to make sure we check on the new information that was shared tonight by Nate, and as well have the opportunity to finish checking some of these things out, because we could point all night about the health facts and the other things from things I've heard to what I'm hearing tonight. So somehow you gotta find the clearing ground for that information.
Real quick, Shane.
Yeah.
The subsidies on coal, and I'm not gonna jump on the coal bandwagon, but I just took 130 cars of coal from Conway, Pennsylvania to Sandusky last night. That paid my paycheck,
okay? That's gonna pay my family, so we can pay bills and pay groceries, and I'm gonna support the community with that, okay? People in Sandusky work at that coal dock, they dump coal into boats, there's jobs in the marine. Okay, that's what I'm implying with the coal industry. Now, as far as the AEZ goes, $69,000 per megawatt, you guys know what you're gonna get from them.
Say what?
Did you research the AEZ program?
I'm sorry,
No.
repeat the
No,
question.
9,000.
You're getting 9,000.
9,000.
The pilot is 9,000.
So, how many Ohio domiciled workers you guys hiring? So if you're paying them 9,000, you're hiring the least number of Ohio workers, is that my understanding? Because
No.
it's 6,000 is the most.
Okay, we throw around a lot of acronyms here.
Okay.
Now, I wanna make sure everybody understands.
Right.
We talked about the pilot, and that is a payment in lieu of taxes.
Right.
So nobody thinks it's a test program or something, so the payment in lieu of taxes that Apex is giving, not to the county, but to the school, the township, the county
All the entities
itself.
getting
Yeah, all
any
the-
village off the
any
property
political
tax
subdivision.
in the footprint.
So, yes, is $3,000 a megawatt.
Or 9, you mean?
I'm sorry, 9,000, it's 3 megawatts, I got that.
Okay, that's all I was making
9,000
clear because the AZ program is $6,000 to $9,000 based on the number of workers they're hiring. I emailed the guy, I've researched this AZ program.
Sure.
Okay. Secondly, how many school districts are gonna be getting this money? From my math, 4, 7 townships and 2 counties.
The school
Correct.
districts that are in the footprints of the project.
Okay, and they're all gonna be sharing 1.8 million a year for what, 20, 30 years? We don't know exactly. Okay,
So that 1.8 that comes in from the pilot money
right.
is then divided out amongst the entities in there. So they would be getting that over those 20 years.
Okay. How many megawatts is Seneca County getting? Because my math, Sandusky's got 4 turbines, so we're gonna get about 188 megawatts, somewhere give or take.
Well,
More
if
or
they
less,
did
yeah.
55, it'd be 110 in this one project alone.
Chris, let's hear the math. Come on,
So,
let's-
well, I was giving her the math,
I know where you're going.
so that's about all the math I got right now.
And Chris, those calculations can't be finalized until the final map's done, right? So we don't know.
I understand that, but I wanted to hear, we're getting so much money thrown at us, I'm hearing 90 million, 36 million, 1.1 to 1.8, you know, I wanted to know, because the AEZ program, and here's the other problem, my property taxes go up every year, just like everybody else's in this room does. That program does not. So while they keep paying $9,000 a megawatt, say, in 2050, I'm gonna be paying maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a year in my property taxes. So, and and that's a problem to me, because why should I be picking up any losses if people start moving out, home properties depreciate, and we don't know this until after this happens. This could be 10 years down the road.
We're gonna try to wind this up. Anybody who has not spoken, yes, sir.
I've got Greg Hackford, Smithfield Township. I got one question for the young man here. A lot of money, okay, I'm a farmer, I'm not. You wanna put one of these babies on my property, and you wanna lease my land, how much we talking?
Unless we offer a lease, we're not going to share that.
Is that something for negotiated, or you got a set price?
Set price.
Wait a minute.
Could any of you in the future be impacted by the financial gain of these turbines on land owned by you or your families?
I'm not aware of any impact that it would have on me, positively or negatively.
Your mom have any ground that if the turbines go that way, she may be like, sure.
No.
No?
No.
Stacy?
I have no land that's in any of the projects that's been targeted
What
for the
if
county.
what if they change the setbacks and, hey, they wanna put turbines there?
I'm not in the footprint of any of the projects, so.
In the future,
I know, I mean, that's like asking anybody in the room if they might have it's hard, you know, who knows? I mean, that's just a question you can't answer.
I asked Stacy, she can speak.
Yeah,
As I
she
said,
answered.
I am not in the footprint of any existing projects.
But in the future, if a project comes,
If it came in the future, I would have the option to look at it if I wanted to. I don't know that I want to look at it. Because of what you're saying. Because you're trying to set it up as if I'm doing it for personal gain. If it would not be for, not making any of these decisions for any personal gain, and that would be something if my family chose we wanted to do that, if offered that, I would have to make sure I had a prosecutor's opinion.
And my answer is no, so next.
Right here, Holly. I wanted to give you guys a copy of this. It's a study that just came out like yesterday, and it's from the National Renewable Energies Laboratory. It's a government-funded study, and it talks about setbacks. I want to know, have you read any material that you can tell me that we're safe with the setbacks that you're down at the house speaking about, that you want passed, you and Shane both? I've seen both of you down there. How much research have you done on the safety of these?
Based on the experience of the other wind farms that are in the state of Ohio, following what the Ohio Power Siting Board has them have to do in order to be safe. That is the standards that are set by the state of Ohio.
And these are taller than any ones that we've ever had before.
But
right?
the setback is impacted by the height.
Right, the
and
setback is not impacted by the height in Ohio currently.
It's a percentage, so
Yeah, it is.
it's a 1.2.
Okay.
So it is.
It's the height of the turbine plus 20%.
It's not.
All right. Well, in the new study out by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory there, it states that they think that the setback to be safe for a habitable structure is 3.5 times the height of the turbine plus the rotor. So it's going to be roughly 600 feet times 3.5, which puts them back around 2,000 feet.
You're right. No, there's a ton of
That's
research
where
there.
it should be.
Thank you for reading.
All right.
That was just put out
September of
yesterday.
17.
And I have a copy for anybody who, you know.
So September
There is a
17th and
copy.
revised in February.
Okay, so it's just revised.
Chuck, this guy was first. Chuck, yes.
After listening to everybody in here tonight.
Speak up. Please.
After listening to everybody in here tonight, I really came to a conclusion. There's a lot more people in this room, a handful of people, that know a lot more about wind farms and turbines. And you guys put us in a position right now where you want us to swallow it, say it's okay, because look what we're gonna bring in. But nobody can say what we're gonna bring in. Every time we ask a question that has to do with money, no one has an answer.
$93 million over 30 years. There is an answer, Chuck. I mean, but look, it's been published. I mean, let's be fair. You know, I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can. But don't say things that aren't true. The fact is that we have indeed had the numbers, the projected numbers from APEC and the projected numbers from other wind farms to tell us approximately what the income would be over the time that they exist. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that we have the
I'm not
number.
talking just income, I'm talking safety also. I'm talking about setbacks, I'm talking, and you guys look at each other.
Well, you said, no, that's not true at all. I mean, that's
Well,
just,
they ask you
that's a
something,
misinterpretation. Look, these folks have done their research. These folks understand. My fellow commissioners know more about.
They are terrorists trying
Whether-
to take over our land. Terrorists!
Why
Destroying
can't
our
you
land.
just, one word to finish off, Mike, I wanna finish up. Why can't
One
you
last
fight-
comment. Go
why
ahead.
can't
I'm
you
sorry. I still can't hear you, Chuck.
Why can't you three fight as hard for the residents of the county? You know, you guys brought your resumes to us, and you guys brought your promises to us, and you told us what you were gonna do for our county. Now, we're asking you to do something for our county. Why can't you guys fight for the people in your county? And you're gonna see more and more. Shane, you made a statement the other day, you kinda made it again tonight. You see no reason to get us out of the, AZ program. You see no reason at all.
One last
Look around
comment.
this room,
Yeah.
I can start counting a lot of
I'm Nate
reasons.
Miller, Reed
And
Township.
this is what we're trying
Chuck,
to,
we have somebody else now.
that's all I'm trying to say is
All right.
that, please listen to us. I mean, listen to us. We haven't had a meeting with this many people concerned in a long time.
Yes.
Is the 93 million, is that based on what they're producing, or is that what they're saying?
Based on
200
projected production.
That's
Yeah,
projected
actually,
production.
actually, it's based on installed
Yeah.
megawatts.
What's the efficiency they're gonna run on? Because they
That's
pay
the
taxes
minimum
on what
possible
they
payment
produce.
we can.
That's, they're giving it to us as a minimum. So that's where we're at. I'll get one. That's it. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Based on the height of these, how many strobe lights are on the property?
Dalton,
There's no strobe light, but there is a light at each one of these for FAA requirement.
do you have one thing you want to say to finish it up?
Yeah, there's one light on each tower. so they can be identified in the dark.
With flame, right?
Yes.
Okay, that last
So that
comment,
means-
please, go.
That means that I have three, I'm not done. That means that I have 3.5 miles of my house. I served for 22 years in the Army, and I'm a disabled vet. Traumatic brain injury. And with those lights blinking around my house and really me, I'm leaving.
That is a shame. That is wrong.
22 years, I saved the money for a farm and quiet neighborhood, where I can live my life.
Thank you.
And he served to protect you guys.
Thank you for your service.
Protect them.
Who wants to
And
move
you
to
don't even
Bellevue?
live here.
If the schools won't matter, because no one will wanna move to Bellevue, no one will go to the school.
Or Tiffin.
Okay, Dalton.
Hey, I just want to introduce myself. I know I was back and forth quite a bit. I've been referred to as Mr. Apex, but my name's Dalton. I work for Apex. I live in Virginia. We've been developing this project here since 2009. We've been working with the community and different groups for several years now, trying to install ourselves in this community, be part of it, understand the wants and the needs. We've been lucky in garnering quite a bit of support over the past several years. We've got more than 400 farmers that are part of the project. We've got support letters from all sorts of folks. We're just now hearing from several folks now. It seems like some of the frustration is a result of this meeting that was held last Tuesday by a company called S-Power. We're separate companies, but we're pro-wind as well, and we're happy to be that resource for the community for you. If you have questions about wind, if you have questions about what this brings to the community, we're here to answer. We have an office in Bellevue that we've had for almost 3 years now. And yes, there is a hard number of direct benefit. When we're talking payments directly to landowners, to the county, to the townships, and to schools, it's a minimum possible number is $93 million over 30 years.
What percentage is that based on? Running at 25, 35?
That's based on not moving. If the turbines never spun, we would pay that much over 30 years. But we're assuming that we'll turn on the turbines at some point, and so there'll be additional revenue based off of that. That's not counting the construction jobs we bring that are temporary. It's just over 100. Or the 10 full-time careers we'll have in operations on these sites. We're happy to be here. You know, we like hearing questions like this. We want to stay with our ear close to the ground for this community. We want to be here for you. I'm here to answer questions, and I'll be here after the meeting if you guys want to catch up. You know, we're here. We're part of the community, and we're excited to bring some wind to the county.
I have a question real quick. You say you lease from the farmers, you don't buy it.
Right.
Is it because say 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, those become obsolete? It's gonna cost money to tear it down.
Right.
Is that the reason why? Because now you can wash your hands of it, and that's the responsibility because there's no land.
I think the question is decommissioning. Is that
That's
whether or not we'll
however
leave?
you
I'll
wanna
answer this
put
in two parts.
However you wanna
I
put
may
it.
have to have you remind me. It's very short.
Quickly, Dalton.
I do want to hear the decommissioning.
Okay, yes, all right.
So decommissioning is mandated by the state. Before we actually break ground on a wind project, we have to have a $5 million bond in place to protect the community in the case that we went belly up or something bad happened where we couldn't even finish construction, so that we could remove all facilities down to 3 feet for the project. Every 5 years, we have to reassess how much it would cost to remove all of these facilities and have that money in place in a bond in the case that something goes wrong. And so there's no case by law that we can leave facilities on properties. Those facilities have to be removed by us or by that bond. What was the other half of your question?
You're going down 3 feet. How far down do you go with the concrete? I heard 3 feet.
Much deeper than 3. We can go down to about 15. What was the second half of your question?
No, I think you answered that part.
All right, very good.
All right,
I'll be here afterwards as well, so feel free to come and catch up with me.
We are adjourned.